Welcome back. This is segment 3 of Citizens Forum being filmed on Tuesday, October the 20th. I'd like to thank again our volunteer crew and the Shaw staff that makes it happen every week. Our guest in this segment is Jeremy Arney. Jeremy is the leader of the Canadian Action Party.
Yeah.
Forgive me. The Canadian Action Party, and you guys participated in this election.
Yes.
Your main issue is an issue of tremendous importance, which is using the Bank of Canada to help to build the better Canada we all want, an issue that got virtually zero coverage anywhere in the media by any media or politician, and yet it's of tremendous importance. So do you want to just say a few words about the election and what you think the future holds, and then we'll do the questions?
Yeah, just very briefly on the Bank of Canada, because you brought it up. I'm not sure if you're aware, Jack, but your share of our national debt is $30,000. Just your share. So is mine. Everybody has that share. Prosperity and austerity do not go together. And we have, for the last 30, 40 years, been leading basically an austerity program in Canada. We have been wasting money hand over fist by not using our own bank. This is a subject for another time because we're short. But as far as the election is concerned, I think we saw a young man grow into the position over the period of the election. He didn't buckle under the weight that was thrown at him of the criticism, I'm not, or you're not ready, and all the rest of it. He stepped through, he appealed to the people, and he became the catalyst for the We Are Change, or no, for the desire for change. And as a result, he went from third position to Prime Minister. Good for him. How's it going to work out? I think we're going to find very quickly. On the 4th of November, he has said that he's going to announce his cabinet. I am very curious to know if there's going to be a whip, a government whip. The government whip's job is to make sure that everybody votes in the House the way the party wants them to vote. How many times has Justin said over the last couple of weeks, we want to represent the people to Ottawa, not Ottawa to the people, which incidentally is something the Canadian Action Party spawned a long time ago, and we still believe. So it would be really interesting. If that's the case, there is no need for a whip for the Liberal Party. All they need is one person, which could be the House leader, to ensure that there's a minimum of 5 members of the government sitting in the House of Commons in the chamber. And the reason for this is that if there's less than 5 people stand up to object to a motion and demand a vote, then any motion will automatically carry. So a bill could be killed just by there not being enough government people there to stand up and say, we want a full vote. That's the first thing. Will there be a whip?
This is very, very important. And actually, I didn't know anything about it. So you're saying that Mr. Trudeau has said, in effect, that we want the people's representatives to represent the people.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's what he said in effect, and he's almost said it in those words. I mean, in his speech last night, he said, we want to represent the people to Ottawa, not Ottawa to the people.
Okay. So on November 4th, we are going to see if the Liberal Party has a whip. Whip's job is to make sure that everybody does as they're told.
I believe the whip is part of cabinet. I know John Duncan was, and he was the whip. So, they'll have a whip or not, certainly if they announce a cabinet and there's a whip, then you know that there's a reason there that he's basically saying we need to have everybody voting the same way.
You know, this is really a question for all Canadians, because the question is, do we want the people we elect to represent us, or do we want the people we elect to be controlled by the party elite who have no connection to us, because those people can destroy their career at any moment in time? Maybe, I mean, what can happen is we, the Canadian people, should really focus on that issue and say we want to change that rule so that you, the party leadership, does not control the people we elect.
Over the last 3-4 weeks, I've been talking to everybody I know just about, and people on the street too, pointing them in the absurdity of the situation of the way elections run today. That is, you get 3 major parties all of whom putting out candidates that we are invited to interview and employ at $167,000 a year minimum to represent us to Ottawa. Now, of those three parties with their whips, there is not a hope in heck that they are going to represent us. They are going to do what their party whips are telling them. So why would anybody in their right mind want to give somebody a $167,000 a year salary to do exactly opposite to what they're being elected to do? It just doesn't make sense. The only parties that don't have whips, first of all, is the Green, where Elizabeth May sent a letter to every candidate saying, you will not be whipped, so you can vote what your constituents want.
And you know what? That was never mentioned. That's important, and that's why we never heard anything in the media about Elizabeth May right through this whole campaign. They didn't want those ideas to be brought out.
This whole campaign was not about candidates. It was not about politicians. It was about three individuals. Yeah. Right from the word go, I actually wrote an open letter to Mr. Harper about this. Right from the word go, this was about the Prime Minister's job. It was nothing. The incidentals were the candidates who would build up to create the Prime Minister. But it was all about three men vying for that job of Prime Minister.
It's a great detriment to Canada that our political system is so undemocratic. It can be a lot better, and we can make it that. You wanted to talk about, do you mind if we go on to Bill C-51?
No, we can go on to Bill C-51. Bill C-51 is going to be a test of just how Trudeau is going to listen to the people. He has said that he wants to get rid of all the freedoms aspect of it. So is he going to do this right away? Is he going to leave it? What's he going to do? This will be really interesting to find out in his throne speech, how he's going to approach it. What I would like to see is him repeal everything after the business, right at the very beginning, where all the agencies can talk to each other. That makes sense. But again, it only on certain subjects. But that can be adjusted, and the rest of it should be repealed and gone. Won't go into it in great detail, but for instance, in the criminal aspect of things, where CSIS need to get a warrant, they have to go in front of all things the BC Supreme Court or the provincial Supreme Courts, not the federal courts, but the provincial ones, which puts the cost of all this onto the provincial governments. Now, if they can't get on a Friday evening one of the Supreme Court judges from BC, they start going down the line, and they get eventually to a JP, so a JP can give them a warrant, which Bill C-51 says is not going to be that easy to get. Oh, Justice of the Peace doesn't matter, he gets paid by the warrant. And what is a Justice of Peace? If we check it all out and follow all this down in the laws, you find that a JP can be somebody who flies an airplane.
Now, not only that, but my understanding is that they can do a lot of things, like what you'd call dirty tricks, and really dirty tricks, with they can just do what they want. Am I wrong in that?
JPs?
No. CSIS agents.
Oh, yeah, well, we don't know. We have to guess, because it's also hush-hush and secret. I mean, in the bill, it doesn't specify anything. And to give you an example, when James McIntyre was shot in Dawson Creek just a few months ago, because he was wearing an anonymous mask at a demonstration, he was shot and killed. And when Blaney, who was supposed to be the Minister of Public Safety, was asked about it, I'll get this right if I can, he said, those who choose to dissent can expect to face the full force of the law. Well, the full force of the law in this case was being shot dead. So I'm a dissenter. I figure that I have a target on my back with a bullseye in the middle, and any policeman who looks at me sideways is going to say, whoopee, he can go, bang, because I'm a dissenter. And Blaney will say, well, he chose to dissent. Well, Blaney has nothing to say with it.
So we'll see what Mr. Trudeau does with Bill C-51, which wasn't even an election issue, completely kept out of the election. I never heard it mentioned.
No, it wasn't an election issue basically because the election issues were controlled by one man. Right from the point on who's running. What's this election about? This election about one man. I would like to talk about the Senate, because I've had this idea. I'll be very brief. This is an opportunity for someone who kicked his caucus members out of the Senate, or the Senate members out of his caucus. This is an opportunity for him to reach out to some of the NDP men who've done or women for that matter, who've done phenomenal work over the years, like Peter Stouffer, for instance, a really respected NDP member of Parliament, an absolute champion of our veterans. He's lost his seat. This would be a time for Mr. Trudeau to reach out to him and say, Peter, how would you like to be a senator? To my way of thinking, it doesn't matter who he puts in there, because he has already said whoever goes in will not be part of my caucus. So this would be a mending the fences move of huge importance if he chooses to take it, to reach out to someone from perhaps Suzuki, some of the other NDP people from years ago. Not some of the younger NDP ones, because they'd probably refuse because they'd want to come back again. Jack Harris, for instance, has lost too. Another man who's done sterling work for his community. I don't know if they are if they are eligible for seats, because they may not be available in their area. But this is the kind of thing that I would just love to see him do. Whether he's got the ability, whether he's got the guts to do it or not, I don't know. But that would be a step in bringing back democracy and reinforcing the idea that the Senate can be a house of second thought.
We have less than a minute left, but just mention the TPP.
Oh my gosh, TPP, what a disaster. Well, I've already told you before, any trade agreement that has an investor's protection, profit protection clause in it is a disaster for Canada. It's just going to cost us nothing but money.
So that should be something that Mr. Trudeau repeals immediately.
It should be. We don't know his stand on it really yet. He hasn't come out yet one way or the other. Hedging his bets, I bet.
Yeah.
But
this is what we're going to... Jeremy, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming, Jack. Well, thank you for having me again, Jack.
And Jeremy Arney, the leader of the Canadian Action Party, thanks for watching this segment of Citizens Forum.